going to be talking a little bit in code today because if you watch my channel and you watch my live, yes.
Is the plane going down? Are we gonna die? Why are you saying I'm sorry?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Lindsay, the Housewife Historian, and today we are going to be talking Real Housewives in New Jersey because of everything that's been going online today. I thought that it would be a good time to come on and take some questions from you guys and then also talk a little bit about some of the things that we are currently hearing coming out of New Jersey. I wouldn't say necessarily good things, right? Let me get over here in my comments. One second. Let me switch this. Sorry. Hey, Yo-Yo. Oh, I love her. Is this covering my camera when I do it? I try to do it so that it doesn't cover the camera when I'm looking at your comments. Okay. Hi, Yo-Yo. Before we get started, though, if you guys, hey, Stace, it has been a while. I'm so glad you could join today, Sissy. If you guys have any questions or comments, I want to take a lot from the audience today, so make sure that you guys comment. Everything in this video is alleged. Some things have regurgitated, as far as it pertains to Daniel Staub tweeting at Melissa's ex-boyfriend Bulldog and calling him, saying how much Bravo fans would really like to see him come out and speak his truth. So I did end up posting an article about some of the tweets that he had tweeted during the season that Jan was on. If you guys remember, Jan was one of the ones that was allegedly supposed to take Melissa down with the cheating rumors, right? Do we know about the fines that Louis was alluding to issued to April 2023? I'm gonna fines? I think he had fines from, oh, sorry, hold on. He had fines because they were working on their house in Franklin Lakes and they didn't get any permits. So in really big areas, like, well, not big, but in really rich areas like Franklin Lakes, you have to get permits for everything. I mean, if you want to like add 2 feet to your garage, you got to go get a permit, right? So allegedly, he'd been working on their house. Remember when they had to redo it? It was in April. They had to redo the house. Um, he was working 2 weeks without permits. So that's what happened there. Hey Jojo, how are you? I love you and I miss you. Dee Dee said Jeff Lewis says he thinks that Melissa should stay and that Teresa should go. Do you think that Jeff Lewis is in the know? That was exactly what I was gonna say. Oh my gosh, that's so funny that you say that. Yes, I do. You want to know why? Because he used to be really good friends with Andy Cohen, and they had a fallout for whatever reason it was. I don't know if it was over his show getting canceled. Um, but I want to say it was something with like Cyrus Radio because Andy has a live, I don't think it's a live, but he has a Cyrus radio station. Um, Something happens. Okay. I remember when Jeff Lewis was on Watch What Happens Live with Bethany. Remember? They put Bethany and Jeff Lewis together on the show. Um, you could feel some tension between Andy and Jeff Lewis, even when they were behind stage. But if he's trying to get in good with Andy, and he knows, I'm sure that everyone behind the scenes knows what the F is going on here. It's like breaking the fourth wall, kind of. Um, yes, Jeff Lewis is, if hypothetically Andy is a Regina George, right? A Regina George that is also your boss and has control over a lot of things, it would make sense that you would do whatever you could to stay in good graces, and to try to get on his good side and not necessarily, impress him, but do something that he may think would be helpful to show his loyalty, if you will. Um, Andy was probably complaining about all of the backlash that people are giving Melissa and Joe, is my assumption. Jeff Lewis interviewed Melissa in a podcast back when the season first started. If you want to, you should go back and rewatch the podcast. Um, Before the podcast even starts, this is how shady Jeff Lewis is. This is why I don't think he even really cares for her. She was like, she had like a little mirror and she had her headset on, and she must not have known that they were filming her. Let me see if I can reenact it properly. I don't have a mirror, but she had a mirror. She was holding it up and she was like fixing her hair and putting the microphone down on it. And she was puckering and fixing, puckering and fixing. It was like 30 seconds and he released it. She was on the podcast and she was just really, it was really, really just some bullshit. I'm going to be honest. I mean, she was talking about how her sons wanted to go sled riding or something like that, and she didn't want to take him, and Joe didn't want to take him, and so they said, you know what, Antonia, we bought you this Lamborghini. Like the least you can do is drive your younger brothers, and she said no. I guess it caused a huge fight, and Joe ended up taking her car. Um, but in that conversation, guess what? Guess what this woman tried to say? She said, and it was a Friday or a Saturday, and you know, the nanny doesn't work on Saturdays and Sundays, so they wanted us to take them. Did you guys know Melissa and Joe have a nanny that works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? She just has Saturday and Sundays off. We never seen her. I mean, how old are their kids? They need a nanny? I swear to God, she said it. If you guys watched it, she said it. If not, I'll go back and find the clip and I will post it on my Instagram. That's how certain I am, okay? Let me read some more comments. Dee Dee says, I was thinking it seems like everyone Andy is bringing on, it seems like everyone Andy is bringing on, attempting to temper feelings between MJ and Gorga. I agree with you. I agree. Let me go back to some other comments here. Okay, so we answered the question. The fines were for Joe Gorga working allegedly without permits for 2 weeks on the McMansion when they had to go back and um, redo it, if you guys remember. Um, Yo-Yo says, I'm getting the same feeling. It would be good if M would be demoted to friends of. I agree with that. I like that. I think that both of them are going to stay. They're going to give Teresa more money and she's going to take it. Okay, I want to tell you guys something. Hi, Angie. I just lost my train. Oh, okay. I just posted the Real Housewives of New Jersey after show. It just came out. Okay. I posted 4 minutes of it onto my Instagram, HW Historian with the number 2. Go back and watch that and count how many times Melissa says Teresa really needed the money. She starts talking about Pizzagate and she says, Joe, was going to do the idea. It was going to be me and Joe. We were going to do the pizza thing. It was our idea. We're going to have this subscription, the thin crust. And she's like, but you know what? I was like, Joe, you should really be doing this with your sister. Calling it Nono's Pizza. And she could really use the money. So why don't you go in with your sister? Sure you did, Melissa. Second time she says it, talking about how her nephew was the nephew. Okay, Melissa's nephew had the contact in China for the manufacturer. The manufacturer is very important for several reasons because of the fact it's being made in another country, right? You're not going to go check it out and say, I'll take, 200 of these. Your manufacturer is very, very important. And during COVID, there were shortages of everything. So it's very convenient that Joe, comes up with this idea They bring Teresa and Louis on, and then, oh, by the way, Melissa, allegedly, Melissa's nephew or cousin has the manufacturer in China. So when she says that Louis went behind our back and bought these, and he took us off the emails, we had no idea we would have put money up. It's a bullshit lie because Louis was ordering them through Melissa's family. So did Melissa's family, the guy that had the contact, what was his cut? Oh, he just did it for free? What was his cut? He didn't tell you guys ahead of time, or he didn't notice that Joe wasn't on the email, or he didn't notice that Joe hadn't responded or given an okay or signed off or whatever the case may be. That don't make no sense. That don't make no mother effing sense. Unless if the family member was trying to cut Melissa and Joe out too, and if so, why didn't we hear about that? Do you guys understand what I mean? Do you guys like do you understand? I'm out, like legitimately, do you guys understand? Like that makes no sense. If her cousin or brother or whomever in that family, they all call each other brother and sisters, even though they're first cousins, nieces and nephews, whatever, had the manufacturer contact, he's making something. He's a finder. He's getting a finder's fee, absolutely. Okay, so there's no way. And how when did Louis meet the guy? When did Louis meet Melissa's cousin that has this manufacturer? Melissa herself says Louis and Teresa were at our house. We had only known Louis for a couple of months then. Hi, Shay. I'm going to put Shay's comment up because I tell you guys all the time, we do not have to have the same queens, okay? We do not all have to love the same housewives. It's okay for me to love Teresa and for Shay to love somebody else because we can communicate respectfully, right? So Shay says, regardless, if you're a tree stump, is that an insult, girl? I'm gonna put you in detention, Shay, if you're over here giving me insults. Just joking. You should be concerned about your girl. And I think that that is logical and realistic, right? I only love myself. Did I say something about love? I'm sorry. I was just saying as in general, like we don't all have to root for the same housewives. We don't all have to favorite the same housewives. We don't have to stan the same housewives. I'm sorry to use the word love. Yes, thank you, Yo-Yo. Guys, make sure that you subscribe and hit that like button. Let's go through here. Gorgas. There was no way the Gorgas would be out of the loop. We know how Mrs. Family work. I mean, they probably knew that this was going down and they just let it happen. Maybe Joe found out at some point that there was not manufacturer, but there was copyright issues. And so he was like, fuck it. Um, to Melissa's cousin. F it, just let him order it, and at least you get to make your money, and I'm not going to lose any money. So they're the ones that are going to lose money, and that's what they get for, who knows? We don't really know. We can't exactly say that Melissa's family is going to be looking out for Teresa and her new husband. We know how they've acted in the past about Teresa. We know that it's possible that they despise her so much that they helped turn her and her husband into the federal government. I mean, people think that that's hard to believe, but these are the people that DM'd a woman on Twitter who is going through chemotherapy, and she wasn't even an extreme tree stump. She was just stating her opinion like any other Housewives fan on Twitter. And they came at her in her comments. I tell this story all the time because it's still hard for me to believe. Basically telling her that her life was worth nothing and she should just unalive herself. I mean, regardless of what was done to me personally, so from experience, I know how terrible it is to be under their attack. all of the tweets, all of the moves made behind the scenes, there's a lot of reports that Melissa's sisters thought that they were going to replace Teresa and Kathy. So don't you think that they probably conspired to help get Teresa and Joe out of the way as well? Allegedly they were like preparing, doing like physical enhancements and such, getting ready because they thought that they were going to be able to go on the show and be stars themselves. So these women went after Teresa every avenue that they could, you know? And meanwhile, she's dealing with an indictment, court, a prison sentence, her husband going to prison, her husband getting deported, and they were definitely they are the people that don't let anyone stop them. They don't have integrity. Like integrity is what's done in the dark, you know? It's not good there. I'm not saying they're terrible, terrible people in life in general or whatever. I'm just saying when it comes to the housewives, when it comes to MG's social media and fans and Teresa, they go way out of the lines. They pass the boundaries um 10 times over. So, and I'm allowed to say that because of my own personal experience. And I can't wait to keep sharing it. Yes, guys, please make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Turn your notifications on. It's the best way because I always go live when I have a lot of tea. I don't try to like, you know, send you guys a bunch of what is it? Like, where they preview it and clickbait, basically. No clickbait. But what I did want to go over a little bit was there were some things that were brought back up after Danielle stopped and this tweet about Bulldog. And I went through my archives, like I always do. I have lots of archives. And I found the tweets that Bulldog was tweeting. Now, Bulldog was allegedly Melissa's boyfriend before Joe and alleged that their relationship did not end after she was married. And he was aligned to come onto the show when Penny came onto the show and they were going to confront Melissa with all of the cheating rumors. But that didn't happen because producers really were loving the ratings coming from the fighting sister-in-laws, and therefore they wanted to keep Melissa's narrative the clean cut girl, like, nice and neat. Just like, for example, they didn't let Jacqueline Laredo do a book and they didn't let her do certain endorsements because her character, Jacqueline, wouldn't be doing book endorsements and such. Like the character doesn't need the money. The real Jacqueline probably needed the money, but the character doesn't. So, um, we know that Bravo took this out, covered this up, changed the whole ending in order to save Melissa's behind. The sisters were online tweeting at NBC Universal, at Bravo, like, you ain't taking our sister down. We won't stop. Um, she's not a cheater. Like, they were coming at Bravo before it even aired. So there must have been a lot of rumors prior to that happening. But Bulldog was on Twitter. I posted the exact tweets on my Instagram, HW Historian. I'm going to also bring them over to my shorts here on YouTube. And he states a lot of things. I'm not going to read them all directly to you. I'm going to summarize a little bit, but I would encourage you to go back and read them. He is sick with a tumor at the time of the tweets. I don't know if he's completely cured or what his health status is today. However, again, them finding a weak spot on the man, any sort of weakness, and running with it. So their narrative was he's crazy, he has a tumor, he's gonna he said they told them like we ain't even worried about you, Bulldog, because you got a tumor, you're dying anyways, you're gonna be dead in like 6 months, is allegedly what Melissa told him over the phone, he says. Um, he basically gets harassed from the sisters. He says that. And he says, I understand I have two sisters of my own, and we would kill for each other. However, it's your family's responsibility to treat you right from wrong and teach you how to treat people. And just because your sisters support you, like that, your family shouldn't be supporting the way that you're acting because you're fake and phony and yada, 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 yada. And he lays out all of the details on the cheating circumstances, time, place, situation. He outs Bravo and he outs Joe Gorga in these tweets. Um, Again, we never meet him. Bravo changes the whole storyline and we never really hear about it again. And I'm going to say that it's likely because he was scared to talk anymore or they paid him off. I mean, he knew a lot of stuff, guys. A lot of stuff. Not just about Melissa, not just about cheating, not just about Melissa's sisters. He knew a lot. I think he was friends with Joe Gorga prior. I think they were real good friends. And then something happened, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, let's see here. What's some of our next questions? Yo-Yo says, our girl Trey has said she's a big girl, but in that case, we should be worried about many other cast members as well. And Yo-Yo, I really agree with you here. Um, I have to be really careful with my verbiage because there's a lot going on right now behind the scenes, and it's very, 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 very deep. And um, the truth always comes out. It just does. But there are definitely other allegations on other house husbands that are worse than than a narcissist. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be mean about that. Like, I'm sure maybe Louis does have narcissistic tendencies, and I'm sure, like, we're not taking away from Vanessa's experience with Louis. Maybe it was a terrible one. Maybe they were drinking a lot. I don't know. We don't know. We weren't there, right? But we didn't hear about him being like a woman beater. We didn't hear him about, um, forcing her to have sex. She did say that he did like to have sex a lot somewhere in the court documents, but just in mentioning, like, not like it was forceful, not like it was he made me feel like I had to or would get mad if I didn't. And there's this scene, if you go back to watching The Real Housewives of New Jersey, I want to say it's the very first season that they are on. After the christening, Joe Gorga comes home to Melissa Gorga. She's cooking. She has on a long sleeve black shirt, very skinny, big boobs. And the three kids are eating. She's getting dinner. Like two of them are in a high chair, and Tonya is like up walking around. And he comes in the door, and she like gives him like a big hug and a kiss. And he's like, "Get off me!" Ugh. And he like walks off, and she's like, "Are you serious? Are you really about to be like that?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I am. If I say I want it, you should get up, go upstairs, put some makeup on, and do your hair. What do you mean you're tired?" And then it clips to a confessional of Melissa saying, sometimes Joe gets upset and he wanted, to do it. And I was just tired, and it had only been, it was only like 4 days and I was just tired. And he gets mad about it. Go back and watch that. That's there for you in plain white and black. Watch the scene. It's only like a minute long. Watch his demeanor. Watch how he acts. And this is after he's already done one at work. I mean, it's not like it just happened. It's like he already tried, woke up in the morning, went to work, and stayed pissed off all day long until he got home. Like, I think Melissa confused that. I think that Joe really loves her, but with that sort of thing, I think she was young and she didn't know how to handle that maybe. You know what I'm saying? Because she could have told him to go get effed. That's what I would have done probably. To me, Teresa sounded like an idiot, and Lewis's personality was good, bad, good, bad. Shay B says, let's be real, they put themselves in prison. Listen, nobody's disputing that they broke the law. We are disputing who turned them into the government, okay? We aren't the only people that say if you turn someone into the government and they go to prison, we're going to look at you like a shady mother effer, right? Because the whole term rat, snitch, people that snitch end up in ditches with stitches or whatever the case may be. Like, for any person that's a snitch, nobody likes them, okay? It doesn't matter if you're snitching them out to the teacher or it's your coworker and they snitch you out to the boss. Yeah, you took an extra 10 minutes. It's your fault. But did your coworker have to go tell your employer about it? Like, damn, you know? So imagine your brother. We're talking about a brother sister relationship here. Who do you trust more than anything? Okay? Anyone in the world. Your family, usually, right? Like, and for that, for your family to turn you in because of a reality show, not because their moral compass said Joe and Teresa are doing something wrong. This gets me going. Let's get this right here. Let's look at the. It's not because Caroline and Al Manzo, who we know their reputation, was upset that Teresa and Joe wasn't paying the IRS or J.P. Morgan, right? Was Joe and Melissa so outraged their moral compass that they couldn't take it anymore? That Joe and Teresa weren't paying their taxes? Oh, so it's like, come on, it's not like you turned in a murderer or a child rapist. Like, you turned in someone who was skimming money off Jamie Dimon and Chase Bank. Like, they ain't missing the money, okay? They're not missing the money. Unlike Joe Gorga, who allegedly owes a concrete company $110,000. They're a local company that have 200 employees. Do you see the difference? When you're taken from your taxes, like the IRS, whatever. Like, yeah, you shouldn't do it. It's breaking the law. Okay, everyone was over mortgaging their house. Everyone. That was the whole entire reason of the downfall. And that wasn't necessarily everyone's fault. The banks were doing it. The bankers were doing it because guess what? If you take I worked at a bank. I worked at Chase Bank and I also worked at a credit union before the technology of being I used to have to decode checks by hand, make copies and then send them to the Federal Reserve, okay? So I know how this shit works. My manager at Chase Bank took a 75-year-old man with dementia and got him approved for a $120,000 line of credit for his house that was probably only worth $60,000. And you know what happened? That old man got scammed by the lottery. Because you know what? When they did it for him, it's probably like, oh, he'll never use this 120. What's it matter if he has to take a little bit off of it? It'll be no big deal, you know. No, he got scammed by a lottery that came in the mail. Back then they used to come in the mail and it would say, you've won 20, $30,000, but you got to send us 12,000 for the interest or the whatever. And he got scammed so badly that he lost his house within like a year. Okay? And the point of the matter is the man lived on Social Security. He didn't have the monthly money. Yes, it's a line of credit, so obviously you don't start out until you take money off of it. But regardless, he didn't have the money to be keeping up with any sort of payment on a line of credit. His house was not worth $120,000, okay? It's ridiculous. And they do this because they make more money when you take more money. Okay? It's not like, oh, you sold a line of credit. No, it's you sold a $60,000 line of credit or you sold a $120,000 line of credit. All of those numbers matter, okay? They keep track of that stuff. So during that time, and especially in New Jersey, there was a lot of fraud going on in the housing in the real estate and in the who are the people that do the applications? I cannot remember the name. There was a big bust with that too. Treasurers of the city. So there was a lot of people getting in on this whole scamming thing. And let me tell you something else. If Joe Gorga knows everything that Joe Giudice knows, and Joe Giudice taught him how to do everything from the floor up and introduced him to his connections, you don't think that he was doing anything shady too? You don't think that Joe was showing him how he did things and was like, this is a little shady, but this is how we do it. You think Joe Gore was like, oh no, I don't break the law. I can't do anything shady. I'll be over here. No, that's not the case. So if for some reason they were morally like this is wrong what they did and they should be turned in and prosecuted, then I'd be like, okay, I understand. Like if you had like a chomo in your family and nobody, okay, expose it. He deserves to go to jail, whatever. But when you do it for your own gain, when you do it for your own gain and you take karma in your own hands, okay, maybe Teresa and Joe do have bad karma. Maybe they did screw people over, just like Joe Gorga, just like freaking Tanya, just like Joe Benito, just like all of them have, right? They've all screwed people over. We all have karma coming to us one way or the other, right? But are we karma? No, we're not. So we don't get to decide when people get their karma. We don't get to wake up today and be like, you know what? I'm going to give Teresa and Joe their karma today. And I'm going to call the IRS and I'm going to have them start investigating their tax documents. Yep, that's one of the, yep, I'm going to start imposing the karma on them. And that's the only way they could have even lived with themselves and even slept at night after betraying Teresa this way. Because what other reason could you have to do some shit like that? And that's why it was quiet. That's why the circle was tight. That's why, like, nobody knew until all of these years later. That's why. Because it was a freaking terrible thing to do, and they wanted to make sure nobody ever found out. Let's also consider the fact, allegedly, that look at the cast in New Jersey. The entire cast was falling apart when they were getting it during trial and getting Teresa and Joe when they were indicted. We had the Amber, the twins. We had their boyfriend. No, I'm sorry, not Amber. We had Amber and her husband. Then we had the twins and their significant others, Melissa, Dina, and Teresa. That's it. We knew Dina didn't want to film full time. She was really, really there that year just to be support for Teresa, to have somebody on her team. So we knew that she wasn't about to be on Housewives like that. And the twins were a hit or miss. Amber was a hit or miss, but regardless, she was Melissa's friend in the end, so Melissa wouldn't mind if she stayed. But trust me when I say that Melissa and her sisters thought that it was their time. Like, it was their time. They were about to be the next Jersey Housewives. They believed that so much that they are getting nips and tucks ready to go. And let me tell you something else. The outpouring of love that Joe Gorga shows Melissa's sisters way, 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 way before the Real Housewives of New Jersey even started, okay, speaks volumes. It just does. He loves Melissa's sisters. They fall all over him, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. But when there's conflict between your sister and your sister-in-laws, that becomes a problem. We know that there were issues between Teresa and the one from the christening who stood up and said that the only reason Teresa and Joe were invited was because it was a technicality. She was the one, I think, that Juicy Joe's mom punched, allegedly. Where was I going with that? Oh, the one Kim, she did like a little cooking show online, and she kind of started like a blog, if you will. But you could tell it was very much like um the Real Housewives of Orange County. Like they sat her down and she talked about some of her aspirations, and she loves Oprah Winfrey, and then she would do like a cooking video. And every time she would put peppers in something, she would say, "And these are my peppers from Joey Gordon's garden. My Joey Gordon garden peppers. These are them." I'm like, okay, we know that's your brother-in-law. Okay. But besides like the nasty, nasty tweets, like I don't really know a lot about Kim. I just have seen more about the Lissa, which she is. I mean, she's not a bad. I mean, younger. I think she's like prettier now than she might have been when she was younger. I don't know, but you can kind of see in her personality though how her and Teresa would maybe clash a little bit. But allegedly, she was being nice to Teresa, taking phone calls with Teresa, agreeing with Teresa, probably trying to get on the show. There was also a tweet whenever the first or second season came out. Melissa and Teresa and her sisters, the whole family, all of their families were up at the shore. And Melissa's sister tweeted, like, it was so cool this weekend being up at the shore because people were stopping us and asking for Teresa's um, autograph because she's a popular new show, The Real Housewives of New Jersey. And it was endearing, right? But like they wanted a little piece of it too. Um, so if they got their little sister in the door, got her on the show, her next move would be to bring them on the show, right? If you guys don't remember a couple of years ago, not even a couple of years ago, maybe like 18 months ago, Melissa did like a Q&A on her Instagram and she asked like, would you guys be interested in seeing a show with my sisters and I and our family? And some comments were like, oh yeah, you guys need your own show. And then obviously some of them were not so great. I mean, we hear different rumors from Bravo about how the sisters might not have like they might have been accidentally slipping a little bit here and there that Bravo didn't like. They probably just didn't have any control over them, and so that's why they didn't really want them filming a lot. So do you believe, even though Teresa said she didn't, that Joe turned in his sister? So do you believe that even though Teresa said she didn't, that Joe turned in his sister? Yeah, I do 100% believe Joe turned. I think that Joe turned information into Monica, the attorney, who worked on getting enough documentation to show fraud. Like literally, somebody had to build this. Monica built this entire case and then handed it to the feds. They didn't have to do a lot of work. Let me see if I can go back a little bit further. So you don't believe Louis investigated anyone? I can't say if he did or didn't, but I can say that I don't think it's a big deal if he did. Somebody sent me a clip. I think it was the women married to medicine, and it was one of the women, and she had done a private investigation, or had put a private investigator on the ladies before the following reunion, and they found out and they were mad about it. And you know what? She freaking owned it, and she said she was sorry that she hurt them. She didn't think that that would hurt them. She was just trying to be prepared when she came to the reunion. We've also seen Quad from the Real House or from Married to Medicine hire a PI. This isn't the first time. And secondly, if they obviously didn't use any of the information that they found. Have we found out anything explosive about anyone? Frank? No. Joe Gorga? No. What have we found out that we didn't already know about him? Nothing. Nothing that wouldn't have come out anyways. The $110,000 lawsuit for the concrete company, that would have came out. The rumors about Nono's house, been out for years. The rumors about 1993, been out for years. I mean, he's still with Melissa. He doesn't believe she cheated. They didn't even touch on the kissing situation story. They didn't even ask Melissa to give an explanation. So I don't know, guys, but I just wanted to let you know what my thoughts were. Make sure that you comment. Let me know what you guys think. Um, I do think that there could be some. I remember the scene and thought that he seemed very oversexed. I really think that Andy Cohen finds that attractive. I think that he prefers Joe over Teresa for that reason. It's possible. You never know. I found some photos I'm going to share that are never been seen of them. I never been seen of them. Um, Melissa fans are slow and easily to be manipulated. Yeah, I mean, I think it's anyone that you like when you root for somebody for a long, long time, it takes a second to like realize they're a piece of shit. because it's like kind of hurtful because you're like think that you're a good judgment, but they tricked all of us. They tricked, they've been tricking us for years, guys. Not just on this stuff that we talk about on this channel. They've been doing it for years and years and years to everyone. Like I don't think they know reality because it's so bad, and they just all co-sign for each other. All right, guys, hope you have a great day. And let me see. So you believe, even though Teresa said she didn't, that Joe turned in his sister? Yes. Um, when will Melissa and her family get their karma? I'll leave that there, Dee. Just stand by. There's still a lot of things that are coming out in the works, so just stand by, Dee. Um, would info not be a part of the disclosure and be in court docs? Exactly. That's a thing. They would have a chance of discovery during the trial. Anytime you're going to trial, as a defendant, you are eligible, and the state has an obligation to provide you with the evidence that they are going to use to prosecute you with. So they will give you it's called like the discovery stage, okay? And anything that's going to be used against you in court is going to be sent through the clerk's office, certified, and then they present that to the defendant, and the defendant and the attorney go over it so they can, like I said, to see what evidence is being used against them. Hypothetically, if you have someone that's a confidential informant and they say you're selling rugs and they come to you and they buy rugs and they're being recorded, um like you can hear the recording, but they're not going to name the informant, but you'll likely know because you can hear their voice, you get to see the time and date on when it happened, but you may not know their name. But yes, and another problem is they could have given all the information to Monica. That's the thing. Monica really went to the feds on everyone else's behalf. So it made it a lot easier. So when Frank says the feds called Joe and wanted him to go down to New York on this day and he didn't go, well, he didn't need to because he'd just given everything to Monica, and then Monica takes it to the feds, and then that way everyone else is clean. There's no track, and she was happy to take a fall for it because she's introduced herself as the people that are suing Joe and Teresa Giudice the whole every time we've met her. Yep. They had a hard time proving it. That's another thing, Dee Dee. People don't realize. If you would have just went to the feds with a little bit, tipped them off, they wouldn't have been able to do anything. They didn't have anything. She literally had to build the entire case for them and then give it to them. Thank you, Yo Yo. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here, but make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. And if you guys have any more questions, put them in the comments, or I'll do another video. I like to answer your guys' questions because then I don't feel like I'm repeating anything. And sometimes, I don't know, it's hard to understand prison and the logistics. So, all right, guys, bye.